Welcome Black Hollywood Live fans. Today on Fit Club, we talk rapper YG's vegan revelation, Dwayne Wade talks about body shaming, and more.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, Fit Club.
My hitter. Hey, welcome to Fit Club, you guys. I'm your host, Fallon Mercedes, here along with my co-host, Mr. Shaka Strong. Where can they find you online?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shaka Strong.
And you guys can find me online at Fit with Fallon or fitwithfallon.com. Today we have a lot of kind of celebrity-based topics, and of course they all have to do with fitness and health, and then we found some other great articles to kind of chat with you guys about. While we are on air, or if you're watching this after the fact, please comment, subscribe, rate us. If you have any questions for us, tweet at us. We'd love to chat about them. I'm excited. One of the, as you hear YG, he's playing right now, and YG recently revealed, even though I could hardly understand him, he recently revealed that he is now vegan.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool to hear that, you know, a lot of these rappers, people in the hip-hop industry are taking care of their health, because I think so often we see them in media just, you know, going crazy with the alcohol or the food and not really taking care of their bodies, but more so partying and enjoying life. But it was interesting to hear what he had to say in one of his interviews. He said, you know, a lot of people around him started having, you know, a lot of cancer, and it started to scare him, and he recently realized, you know, it must be in the food. He started watching documentaries. He started, he reached out to Dr. Sebi, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but, you know, he's really known in the industry as being like an herbalist and being able to cure things, you know, naturally. And ever since he met with him and he decided, you know what, he's going to put his health first. And he's also a father now, so I think that also played into it too. He decided to go vegan, and he's been vegan since January now, so it's been a little while.
Yeah, I've also been vegan since January, so I guess we were on the same path. But yeah, I think.
But you don't rap, do you?
No, not quite on the resume yet.
But you could talk, so I give you that.
But yeah, I think it's just a natural evolution when you kind of learn about food and how it affects you, and you know what's healthy out there. We already know that from our own stories that we've done here, the benefits of both a Mediterranean diet and a vegan diet and what it can offer. And I think we can pull up, I think, his actual comments about his vegan diet. Yeah,
so it's at
here.
10:22, the 10:22 mark. You'll hear him, which our engineer is going to play for us. You'll try to understand what he's saying about being a vegan.
Still loading? All right, here we go.
Here we go.
There you go.
See, I was vegan before Cali went vegan.
Really?
Yeah, I was vegan in January.
And how's it working out? Why'd you decide to go vegan?
Because it's like too many people around me was dying of cancer, all that type of stuff. And, you know, I've been figuring out, like, what's causing this cancer. Like, just, you feel me, the stuff we intake.
You started watching all the documentaries on all of it?
Huh?
Did you start watching all the documentaries on
I
Netflix?
watched a little bit, yeah. Watched a little bit. Dr. Sebi, too. Y'all know about Dr. Sebi?
No. Dr. Sebi.
Yeah.
You know, Dr. Sebi, he's he actually was how do I say this right? He was actually investigating. He used to come up here a lot, and we would interview him, and he stopped coming because he was talking.
All right, we'll
about
cut it there, you guys, because they go on a little, you know, on and on about this. But if you guys want to just follow us on Twitter, we'll tweet out the link if you want to watch the rest of that interview. But, you know, shout out to everybody who is, you know, putting their health first and willing to make that vegan change. I am not there yet, but hopefully Shaka will.
But I think it's important, too, for urban communities, because a lot of times there's a stigma of, oh, going vegan is something that I can't afford, or it's not part of my culture. You see a lot of hippies and maybe white people that are going vegan and talking about it in more flowery terms, and so people sometimes think it might be a soft thing to do, or you know, you ruined your street cred to go vegan. So it's great that Khaled and YG are people that are saying, no, it's your health. It doesn't matter what it looks like or sounds like. At the end of the day, your health is what's valued, and if people are dying around you with cancer, you need to make some changes if you think that's related to your health and the food you're taking.
You guys, before before the show started, I was talking with Shaka, and I'm like, I think my biggest problem is I love bacon, and I don't eat regular bacon. I do the turkey bacon, but to go vegan, you have to cut out all meat. So he just informed me there is coconut bacon, and I do love me some coconut. So I'm very interested in trying this coconut bacon.
Yeah, do your research. I think a lot of people have preconceived notions of what going vegan is, and when I decided to go vegan, I just decided to do a little research because I said to myself, it cannot be that bad because so many people I know are doing it, and they seem happy. They don't seem like they're starving themselves. Yeah. And then you do some research and you find out there's so many good things you can have, and I think it's just great that seems to be a trend in the hip hop industry and at large as well.
If you guys out there are vegan or on your way making that progression, let us know how it's going.
Yeah.
I would be very interested in hearing your experience. We were speaking of a lot of people going vegan because of cancer, and we found this study where doctors who are racially profiling patients and not giving minorities the time and I guess the time and whatever they deserve with them because of their race.
And leading to a breakdown of the doctor-patient experience. And let's be clear, it's not, these doctors aren't seeing black patients and going, I don't want to deal with you. It's implicit racial bias. So it's not some sort of overt racism, but what this great study did is they took 18 non-black oncologists and they had 112 black patients. And what they did is they looked at how much time, they took an implicit racial bias test at the start of the study, and they looked at how much time these oncologists spent with their patients, and they also evaluated the patients' feedback after each time they met with their doctors over the course of several months. And what they found was the black patients felt as if they weren't spent enough time with, they didn't understand the course of treatment as well as the white patients. They also had a sense of less importance. And so they were less likely to follow the prescribed mode of treatment. And that was just based on the implicit racial bias.
How do you feel about that? Because I know you're very well educated. If you guys don't know, he is a lawyer as well. Do you ever find yourself going to the doctor that, you might be racially profiled and people don't know, you are more than just what, the eyes can see. So what do you feel about that? Do you feel...
Well, yeah, this situation is so difficult because this is one of the situations, and they looked at this objectively too. It just wasn't patient feedback. They looked and saw that the doctors actually spent more time with the non-black patients. Like they saw that disparity. So, for me, it's hard to look at this because when you're in the doctor's room, you don't know how he's treating other patients.
Yeah.
You're just kind of going based on what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And so you might feel from your doctor when you leave that you didn't get the kind of treatment that you felt you needed, and you certainly leave the doctor's office unsure about the course of treatment going forward, which is very important when you have cancer. You need to be very steadfast and know what the course of treatment is and that you're fine with it. And so it's hard to gauge in terms of my own experience, but this is certainly worrisome, and you hope that they're able to catch some of this bias and make sure it erases it in some way.
Yeah, being half Latina, I'm half Dominican. I see this, but in kind of a different sense because a lot of my family members, they don't speak English, and I see it in the sense where, if there is an interpreter, they're not explaining things all the way, or I don't know. I've seen it, and even I was calling around for a psychologist for myself. Not that there's anything wrong, but I've kind of come to the point where I'm like, I take care of my physical health. What about my mental health? What about my emotional health? So as I was calling around for psychologists, I didn't want to leave my last name because I know that these stereotypes and bias exist. And I've seen studies where, they say if you leave so many voicemails for a psychologist and you have a last name or a name that would put you in the minority profile, then you might not get a call back.
Oh, wow.
So I was literally trying to sound very... educated, and I would only say my first name, and even though that's not a Sharon or the typical, it's Fallon, it's different, but I didn't want to say Mercedes because I was scared I wouldn't get a call back.
And that's a struggle I think a lot of minorities deal with, especially minorities with accents, you know.
Yeah.
And so you get that bias, and it's awful that bias might come at the expense of your mental or physical health.
Yeah.
And so
It's-
we just have to be more vigilant. You know, we just have to be extra vigilant when we're in those doctor's offices.
Yeah, and I think we have to be more expressive than normal.
Yeah. If you don't understand something, say I don't understand what
Exactly.
you're, yeah.
And sometimes we don't do that because we don't want to seem like we don't know what's going on. But you know what? Your health is key, you know, and if you have your doctor there, you need to speak up. So, yeah,
So
this
definitely
was
something to keep in mind. Just
Yeah, next time you're at
you
the
have
doctor.
Yeah, put the onus on yourself, and if you don't understand something, make sure you're heard.
I know there's this one, it is Wednesday, so we can say this. She is my woman crush Wednesday. She is an 80-year-old bodybuilder, and her name is Ernestine Shepherd.
Love her.
And I've seen this woman around on social media, and even Oprah interviewed her. And she is strong, she is beautiful, and she gets at it. And I just love that she's inspiring women of all color, all ages, but she's actually in the Guinness World Book of Records for being the oldest
And look how
female
great she looks,
bodybuilder. She looks great.
Amazing.
And I know she started with fitness later on in her
At
life.
53, so like there's no excuse. There's so many people that, I'm too old to start. She started at 53. 53, and now, 30 years later, here she is, and she's the oldest bodybuilder.
And what motivated her was her sister passed away, which I do believe it was of cancer, and it was a wake-up call for her that she needed to put her health in her own hands. And we have some tips that she gives, and I'll kind of go through them.
Yeah, she had 5 tips, and this has got the tips of the Fountain of Youth, so listen closely.
Yeah, so here are the 5 tips for the Fountain of Youth. One is age ain't nothing but a number. And as you can see, it really isn't, because like we said, at 50 plus years old, 53 years old, she started strength training, and now she's 80, still getting at it with a flat tummy and biceps that rock.
And she said a revelation to her at that time was that health was an option, you know. It was an option that was not off the table. So no matter what age you are, it's always an option.
Yeah. Number 2, eat clean. Of course, eating your veggies. I don't know. She does eat chicken, so she's not vegetarian.
She eats egg white. She said she eats egg whites, chickens, and veggies, and she sticks to 1,700 calories a day.
And that's pretty good, you know. And she's probably burning a lot because she's strength training heavy. So being at 1,700 calories, that's probably great for her.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's a little different, but you go, girl. Number 3, do the same workout every day. Now, this surprised me. She said that she wakes up at 3 or 4 a.m. and runs 10 miles
every
a day, every single day. Now, if that ain't motivation,
That's just like, wow.
I don't know what is.
I don't know if I could do it.
I don't know if I can
Every
do
day
it
for
either.
30 years.
10 miles? Oh,
4 in
man.
the morning, yeah.
2 miles. I'm looking at the clock.
But I do agree with it. Routine is so important when it comes to fitness. Sometimes I like to change it up to a certain degree, but when I find myself in a good routine is when I'm at my best.
Yeah. And it's consistency too. I feel like that's when you see results. It's when you break that consistency that you don't see the results.
Yeah, so even though you may plateau in a region, if you just keep going every day,
you'll break it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 4, find what you like to do. And she mentioned this in the sense not just for fitness, but anything that you like to do. Because when you're passionate and you love something, you're going to go hard. You're going to do your best.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's finding a local league to play dodgeball even or, another sport, I think that's important too. I think we always look at fitness as a gym and the traditional sort of things that we see on Instagram. But if you can find a way to stay active in your community, I think that can also lead to a great life of fitness.
And number 5, have something that motivates you. And for her, it's prayer and, her sister that motivates her every day to get up and run those 10 miles. So.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you have to have a motivation routine, something that you do that continually motivates you, whether it's a song you want to listen to at a certain time of day, YG might be, what hypes you up at the gym, or even I have friends that have changed their background of their phones. So every time they look at their background, they have something that motivates them to work out, whether it's a picture of their kids because they want to work out for their kids, or a picture of that body they want, So that can also be a mode to get you motivated.
I do that. I leave my vision board in my bathroom. I framed it. So when, I'm getting ready every day, I can see what I want to, accomplish and do in my life. And a lot of it is, a nice hard six-pack,
Yeah,
hopefully
it's
that I'll be able to obtain.
Yeah, or you just go to Instagram and look at the pictures, and it'll either depress you or make you want to go to the gym. But either way,
either
might
way.
help.
Speaking of nice snatched waist, the waist gain trainers have gone under fire. They were taken to court and sued in a $5 million lawsuit. So now these waist trainers, you've seen them online, on the Kardashians, on Black China, on Amber Rose, and these women are claiming that you can get a snatched waist and lose the body fat in your waist area if you wear it. And I see it all the time when I go to the gym.
And these are women with the most expensive trainers, probably like meal plans and personal chefs, and probably the best selfie takers in the world. So you see these pictures, and it can be very misleading as to what you can achieve with a waist trainer alone.
And not only that, they're not safe. You know, I know a lot of doctors have spoken out about these waist trainers, saying that, you know, you're squeezing your organs, and some women will wear them for 36 hours straight.
And it's recommended like what, an hour? I think the official recommendation is an hour or two a day.
Yeah. So, you know, not only are they not healthy for your organs, but they really don't even help you lose fat. So that's why, you know, they're getting sued.
Wait, have you ever used a waist trainer?
I've used, do you remember that sweat thing? It makes you sweat, your stomach sweat, but I mean, after 2 tries,
no results.
You know what I did try? One of my girlfriends sold, and I did on my blog, you can find it, fitwithfallon.com, I wrote a post about it. It's, what was it called? The wraps?
The skinny wraps, I heard about those.
And it has some, like, it smells like Bengay. It's so strong, and I put that on my stomach, and I did 4 of them, and I will say this, and as a trainer, I didn't even want to even like promote it, but it does help. I saw a difference, but the only thing it's doing is getting the water weight out of your stomach.
Okay.
So after you stop using it, you know, it's gonna go right back.
Well, I did try the waist trainer. You know, I compete in fitness, and and guys use them too. So,
really?
Yeah, a lot of guys use waist trainers.
I had no idea.
Yeah, do your cardio in your waist trainer, or go to the sauna in your waist trainer. And when I would go to the sauna and the waist trainer, I did notice a difference. I was just a lot tighter.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was water weight or what, but...
See, I think it's the water weight. For these, the company that's being sued, this is just you're wearing around. This isn't to sweat in. But yeah, so they ended up settling out of court. I don't know if it was for the $5 million or another amount, but you know, they had to come out and say that it doesn't redistribute the fat to other areas. However, no, it does redistribute the fat to other areas, but it does not burn the fat. So it's literally you're being squished in, and the waist trainer is pushing the fat either down or up. So it's giving you the illusion of that hourglass shape that you lost weight, but in fact, you're really not losing weight. So if I had to choose waist trainer or getting to the gym and eating clean, you're gonna see real results, not even spending your money, you know, and they're not cheap. This one in particular, I think, is over $100. So, you know, you might as well invest that in healthy food or even a couple sessions with a personal trainer.
Yeah, I think the point is the waist trainer is not a replacement for anything. Yeah. I mean, at best, maybe if you're going to the beach and you did it an hour before, then that might work for you. But yeah, it's certainly the diet, the working out. The waist trainer is just a nice little addendum that is not meant to replace anything.
So, Shaka, next week you'll wear your waist trainer so I can see how it looks.
Oh, my hourglass shape.
Yes, I want to see that hourglass shape. Next up, we have Melanie Fiona, who is a lovely singer, and we all know that she just gave birth to her son, who I think his name is Cameron. I don't know. He's a cutie. But Melanie Fiona went to social media and, you know, started just uplifting her voice and saying, hey, I'm a woman and I have stretch marks. I gave birth to a beautiful child, and my body, you know, didn't bounce back as these women say, you know, get your pre-body back. She believes that you're never going to get that same pre-body back. You can get close to it. But for her specifically, she has been dealing with stretch marks. So she wanted to let a lot of women out there know, you know, nobody's perfect and she's dealing with it. But what I liked about what she was doing, on her social media and even on YouTube is she gave a video of things that she uses to help, with the stretch marks, or even, I don't know what it's called, but sometimes women get the dark line on the belly button that kind of goes down. And she gave different things that you can use to help exfoliate that line off. One of them was a loofah, or like a hand glove exfoliator. And you just, when you're in the shower, you got to get the dead cells off. So you got to scrub. And then basically she just had a lot of like oils that mothers can use that are natural and safe, even if you want to put them on your children. But a lot of them contained of the same ingredients, which are coconut oil, butter, and vitamin E. So I think even if you do those things, you can get stretch marks. Like you can't, like she was saying, her mother had no stretch marks, but she did. And even myself, I've never had a child, but my mom was telling me she didn't have any stretch marks on her belly, but then my sister did. So I'm like, well, I don't know what's going to happen to me. But just from my Fit to Fat to Fit experience, everybody asked me when I gained the 40 plus pounds, did I get a lot of stretch marks? And to be honest, when I did the Fit to Fat experience, I don't know if I got any more stretch marks because I already had stretch marks. I didn't see them in any new areas, but I just kind of own it. I'm a curvy woman, even as a trainer, and it's life. You could put all the coconut butter you want on and oil, and it is what it is. What I do notice for me personally is when I have a good tan, you can't see them as much because mine are lighter and not darker. So, do you have any stretch marks? I know guys have stretch marks.
No.
Oh, lucky you. What's your secret?
I don't know.
But you guys out there, if you know any tricks about, getting rid of stretch marks that maybe Melanie didn't talk about, and you want to let us know and our viewers know, let us know, because I'd be interested in seeing it or helping the stretch marks go away. I know my cousin in particular, she has 3 boys, and that stomach just boom when she was pregnant, and to this day she still will not wear a 2-piece because she loves to work out, she's in shape, but for her those stretch marks are just they just dominate her belly.
Well, she got to explore what the hashtag is love your lines.
Yeah. Well, I think for her she's just gonna get surgery, but not everybody needs to go down that road. All right, let's see who else we have. Let's talk about body shaming with our NBA star player, Mr. Dwayne Wade. And I love the ESPN body issue. I love how, as of recently, they've been putting not just the sexy bodies, but they'll even put, baseball players that are overweight, and they have a little bit of everything.
That are athletes,
that are athletes, but they come in all different shapes and sizes. And Dwayne Wade finally gave in after years and years of being asked to do ESPN's body. He finally decided, I'm going to do it. And what I thought was so surprising about this was he said he experienced a lot of male body shaming and insecurity. And I don't know if you guys can see, but he is... my goodness, he is just, you look at that body and it's just, I don't see any imperfections. I think so many men would probably look at his body and strive to be that, but he talked in this article how even as a child, starting off with his belly button, he had an outie instead of an innie, and he was ashamed to show it off. And then it started, with his feet. He didn't want anybody to see his feet. And not that he was ever overweight, but you're a man. Can you understand anything that he was saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm constantly insecure about my body.
Really?
And as males, you're not even allowed to really express it to some degree, or you feel you cannot. So you just kind of sit with it and live with it and move on. But yeah, so I definitely was able to relate to a lot of the things that he found. He said he just got comfortable with his body, and that's taken me some time, and it's always a work in progress to get more and more comfortable with your body.
Yeah, so do you ever second guess taking off your shirt? Because you've gone on stage doing bodybuilding competitions in front of hundreds of people. Yeah. So how do you justify that, saying you're insecure, but then you're able to show it off?
Well, I think... And I almost ran off the stage my first show just because of the insecurity, the anxiety almost got to me. And I was like, oh
Shaka.
my God, what am I going to do here, really? And I think that was the competitiveness of that in terms of it was a competition made it a little bit easier to get through. But there are times I don't want to take my shirt off because I'm insecure.
Oh, wow.
And so.
I kind of faced that in a sense when I did the show. Even at my fittest, I'm like, I'm going to be on camera for the world to see, and I don't have a six-pack.
Yeah.
I don't have quads that are like, super muscular. So I think we all have our insecurities. But Dwayne went on to talk about how, like you said, as he's gotten older, he's become more comfortable in his skin, and he has his own underwear line called Naked.
Yeah.
And one of his, mantras that he tells himself is you have to be naked in your truth and stand in your truth. And, he's realizing this is who he is, and he's not 21 or 22 or 23. And, he has to work so much harder to have a lean body than he did before.
And then there's a struggle to maintain too, because especially in high school and college, people started to say, "Oh, you do have a good body." Then when you see people at a reunion, you want to make sure that you look the same, and you have the insecurity of have I maintained my fitness?
I love the fact that Dwayne opened up about hating cardio, and I'm like, yes, like. You would think you would love it. Basketball players, that's what they do. They run up and down on that court. So it was nice that he was just very honest and owning his naked truth in this article.
You can hate cardio, but you got to do it.
Yes, it has to be done. Yeah, so that was very interesting to see. Who else do we have today to chat about? We have...
I think we made it through. Did we finish all our stories so early?
Wow, we did. Okay, so let's talk about you, Shaka. Since we have some time. We have some time, right? How much time we got? We got a little bit of time. Okay.
But we do, before we get into anything else, next week we do have Brett Hobel from Biggest Loser Season 11 coach. He's also the 20-minute body trainer, and he will be here, and he's going to share with us some great advice and discuss some stories and maybe even show us some moves.
Awesome. I love Biggest Loser, so we both love Biggest Loser, so it'll be interesting to speak with him. So Shaka, I'm just going to jump right in. I kind of want to interrogate you because I want to do a fitness competition, and I'm not motivated. So Shaka, he's an experience at being on stage and bodybuilding. So you are not in season right now, but do you strive to keep, at your season peak or when you're in season?
Oh, yeah. For me, there's no such thing as in season or out of season.
And that's what I was that's what I was assuming, because you are usually on it. Just from our conversations, I'm like, I feel like if you wanted to get on stage in 3 weeks, you could.
Yeah, and I would hopefully say a week. I when I got into the industry, that was my main issue. I got in shape for these competitions, and then there was the binge afterwards. You eat the pizza and the ice cream, and then the depression afterwards. I missed that great body I just had a couple weeks ago, and I never got super out of shape. But it was just when you get into that peak shape, I was like, I want to see that all the time, you know. And so that became the struggle of figuring out how to get to a diet that fit for me, where I could maintain that shape year round. And so, and I eventually found that, and eventually it was becoming vegan for me. But I went through intermittent fasting. I went through just different things, varying my cardio, trying a little bit of fasted cardio.
Do you count your macros? I know a lot of bodybuilders do that.
I used to like kind of roughly count, making sure I was getting 2.5 times my protein. Just wanted to get a little bit more size on me. But I just to me that was going too deep, because if I got to the point where I was measuring my food on a scale, I wouldn't be able to do it. And for some people, they need that that measurement. They need that structure. That structure to me drives me wild. So that didn't work for me. But in terms of just eating healthy and learning what I could have, what I couldn't eat, was just it's an ongoing learning process.
Now I know a woman's body fat and a man's body fat is different when trying to get on stage. Where does a man have to be in order to get on stage, his body fat percentage?
Well, to get on stage and do well, what I will say about competing is, or anything where you're showing off your body to any degree, it's got to be for you. So my first competition, I saw a guy there that might have been what I would say maybe 15 pounds overweight. And I just got to talking to him, and he had lost 60 pounds, and his goal was to get on stage when he lost 60 pounds. So that was his goal. And so everyone's there for a different reason. So there's no number. But if you want to do well for a man, I would say being under 5% is for the stage.
My goodness. And what about a woman? Do you know?
You know, with women, I don't know. I would say probably around 10%.
Really? That low? I was going to guess like 16, 15.
But, I don't know for a woman, but I would say about 10%. These girls come in very shredded, very cut up, the ones that are winning. But you want to do it healthy, and you have to set a plan for yourself. And I think I planned well, is what I did. I planned well.
What advice would you give to somebody who's never stepped on the stage before, me, and those listening who, you know, have always wanted to do one, but maybe haven't found the motivation to really do it?
Accept yourself where you are. For me, my first show, I barely dieted, and that's not. I was doing what I thought was a diet. I didn't know you couldn't have bread. I didn't know you couldn't have ice cream leading up to a competition.
And Shaka still won.
So there were certain things I just didn't know. But what I did tell myself going into the competition is, at least I'll know where I start. And once I know where I start, I can talk to people and say, what else can I do to improve? And so it was all about getting better for me and not starting off at 100%. And so you have to find that moment for you where you're willing to start.
Do you think it's good to find a coach or get a coach, or?
I came to the industry cold, and coaches are a very big part of the industry that, they help a lot of fitness competitors. It was just so counterintuitive that anyone could know my body better than I could know my body. But again, I've been a lifelong athlete. I'm used to watching what I put in my body. I'm used to knowing exactly what kind of work needs to take place to look a certain way. So I had that in my kind of queue already. But yeah, coaching, I think it's up to the individual. For me, it didn't make sense, but
Dishing out all that money for somebody to be like.
Yeah, it's not a free coach either. These coaches are quite expensive. So.
Do you think any of them, do you have to be careful? Do you think any of them, don't know what they're doing? Because that's the thing that I get afraid. Like you said, you know your body best, and I would be afraid to dish out a bunch of money on someone who, let's say he puts you on a meal plan and then come to the competition and he's like, oh, we should have scaled back on those carbs, dude.
Well, yeah. Well, it's almost an unregulated industry, as you know. In terms of even supplements are not very well regulated. And, it's not like any coach you go to is some nationally accredited coach. You might have some license you got out of the back of a book. So you do have to do your research on your coach. If you're going to get one, talk to other people that person's coached. Just get their feedback. People tend to be pretty willing to let you know if they should go in a different direction. So.
Yeah. Or even me, I've been kind of looking at some girls who I know who have done a lot of shows and who have placed well, and I feel like, well, if they've done a lot of shows and they've placed well, then maybe they know what they're doing.
Well, and using that girl as a coach?
Or just, a coach, or just motivation tips, maybe not necessarily training me, but,
Yes, and I would say they definitely, if they're winning shows and they're looking in shape all the time, they do know what they're doing. But again,
it's their body.
It's their body, and then we have steroids in the industry, and that is an issue in this industry.
Yeah.
It's a problem, and sometimes it's not steroids. Sometimes it's designer new things that are on the market that are unsafe, and so you definitely want to make sure you have full knowledge of what someone's doing before you're taking their advice, because if someone's doing something, their advice is not necessarily going to help you.
Exactly. And then also you need to look into the type of show that you're doing. Is it tested?
Yeah, so there's some natural shows out, but again, the natural shows, it's usually random testing. Not everyone's getting tested, but it does kind of thin the field out of those that are using illegal substances.
It's very interesting. It still blows my mind that you made it aware to me that girls do steroids.
I mean, I went to the industry thinking no one was doing it. I thought this was a thing of the 80s and the 90s. I thought no one does this anymore, but it's very prevalent, and you just have to.
But if our chicken does steroids,
yeah, right. And that's why I'm vegan. But, that's why.
Oh wait, vegetables are starting to be on roids too. All the GMOs.
No GMOs. Yeah, you gotta.
It's crazy. You can't trust. No one can't trust people. You can't trust your food. You can't trust your veggies.
It's tough.
This world coming to.
Yeah, but I think that's exactly why this show is great, and I think why fitness is so important is that you have to educate yourself about what you put in your body, what you're doing at the gym, the people that are giving you advice. It's all about self-education.
Yeah,
So,
I like when I'm up late at night on Google, it's like a rabbit hole. I'll look into one thing and then see another and then watch this documentary, and it's like on and on and on and on. But it's good. I feel knowledgeable. I feel in control. It's very scary to live in a society where you do not even know what you're putting into your body.
yeah, but it's a positive thing that we can just at the click of a keyboard stroke,
I know.
find out the answer. A lot of times I'll Google stuff and I'll go to like the news feature and make sure I rank it in terms of date, so I can see the latest news about something I'm trying to find out.
I recently saw a study, and this is kind of scary, and I know a lot of you girls will probably know this, not so much the guys, but so Ocean Spray, they just got caught. They found out that they were paying for false journalists to report false studies saying that their cranberry juice, their Ocean Spray cranberry juice, can help cure or relieve UTIs.
Wow.
When it's false.
Wow.
Their Ocean Spray, it has so much, sugar, and it's not natural
It's very
sugar.
yeah.
So here you go. Here you go. You have a lot of these girls downing, cranberry juice, but it's Ocean Spray, and they're actually making it worse.
Yeah, I mean, that is the importance of like doing that education.
But see, that's scary because here you are, you're looking up, researching, and you're like, oh, well, this journalist reported that it's healthy, so you got to back it up. You got to check their resources.
Dig
you gotta,
deeper,
You
yeah.
got to check multiple resources of different, reports and interviews, and it's.
Yeah, and look at the credentials of the people that are reporting on certain things.
Look at our credentials.
Yeah.
I mean,
but very seriously, if there's something you take from the show that you decide you want to incorporate in your life and it's something big, then you might want to look at our credentials and say, well, what is their history? What is their real experience with this?
Yeah, and I always say try it. Even when people say, well, this didn't work for me, I'm like, you know what? If I want to try it, I'm like, well, maybe it will work for me. Everybody has their own experience. Some people, they can eat carbs and lose weight. Some people can, like we talked about last week, they could do fasted cardio and lose weight. Some people can't. They'll get sick.
But that said, there are some general rules. You know? Some general rules, like if you're burning more calories than you're taking in, you're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
So, if you're telling your trainer, you're burning X amount of calories and you're only eating so many, why aren't you losing weight?
Yeah.
They're going to know you're lying.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that our bodies behave differently, but there's certain bright line rules too as well.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, you guys, thanks for sticking around and, listening to us and chiming in. And I'm excited for next week, for our next episode, to have, a trainer from Biggest Loser.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions for him, let us know now. That way we can get them to him next show. And you guys can just tweet at us. Make sure to give us 5 stars on YouTube and iTunes. And, thanks for joining the club each week. I'm Fallon Mercedes. You guys can find me online at Fit with Fallon and at fitwithfallon.com.
And I'm Shaka Smith. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shaka Strong.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio, Instagram at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.